being chronically late. This is one of those habits that can sneak up on you because it doesn't always seem like a big deal at first. You think, oh, I'm just 5 minutes late, no one will notice. But here's the thing, those 5 minutes start adding up, and before you know it, you've become the person who's always late. Whether it's to a meeting, a dinner with friends, or even just casual hangouts, people start to expect that you're never going to show up on time. And trust me, it sends a message, one that you might not even realize you're broadcasting. Now, I used to be that person. I thought being fashionably late was no big deal. In fact, I kind of thought it was cool, like it added some sort of mystique. But let's be honest, there's nothing fashionable about it. When you're constantly late, what you're really telling people is it just keeps you spinning in the same negativity. But when you start practicing gratitude, even in the smallest things, life feels different, lighter, and the people around you will thank you for it too. So, the next time you catch yourself about to complain, whether it's about the weather, your job, or the fact that the coffee doesn't taste quite right, stop and ask yourself, is this something I can change? And if not, is it worth my energy? Instead of falling into the habit of complaining, try finding one thing, no matter how small, to be grateful for. It won't just change how others see you, it'll change how you see yourself. That's what Stoicism is all about, choosing how we respond, no matter what life throws at us. Number 6. Being chronically late. As once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you're blaming the world around you, whether it's traffic, technology, or even other people, you're giving away your power. You're telling yourself, I'm not in control of this situation. But here's the hard truth. Taking responsibility, owning up to your mistakes, is the most empowering thing you can do. Why? Because when you own it, you can fix it. You can change the outcome next time. I remember a time at work when I missed a big deadline. My first instinct was to whip out my usual list of excuses. Too much on my plate, didn't get the email in time, technical issues, you name it. But then something clicked. I realized that none of those excuses would make the situation better. They wouldn't change the fact that I had dropped the ball. So I tried something different. Number 1. Gossiping. We've all done it at some point, right? It's almost like it's wired into us, this urge to share the latest scoop, to be in the know about someone else's drama. It feels innocent, even fun, because who doesn't like to feel connected or like they're part of the in crowd? But here's the truth. Gossip is like a double-edged sword. Sure, you might feel a sense of bonding in the moment, but every time you dish out someone else's business, people around you are silently asking themselves, if they're talking about them behind their back, what are they saying about me? That's where the real damage happens. Gossip creates a ripple effect of distrust. No one's going to tell you their deeper thoughts or let you into their personal life if they think you'll spread it around the second they're not in the room. You're building walls, not bridges. Number 5. Constant complaining. I know life throws curveballs, and it feels good to vent once in a while. But here's the thing. There's a fine line between healthy venting and falling into the trap of constant complaining. You know the type. Someone who finds a reason to gripe about everything, no matter how good things might actually be. It's too hot. It's too cold. The coffee is too weak. The Wi-Fi is too slow. They could be on a beach in paradise and still find something to complain about. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know anyone like that, well, you might want to check if that person is you. I've been there myself. Has a really clear answer to this kind of behavior. The Stoics valued honesty and clear communication, seeing it as a way to live in harmony with others. Marcus Aurelius talked about the importance of speaking the truth as it is, without hiding behind emotions. When you're passive-aggressive, you're doing the opposite. You're hiding what you really feel because you're afraid of conflict or afraid of being vulnerable. But here's the thing, avoiding confrontation doesn't make the problem go away, it just makes it fester. And eventually, that unspoken resentment is going to explode in a much uglier way. Being passive-aggressive is like emotional dodgeball. You think you're avoiding the problem by not being direct, but really, you're just hitting people with your frustration in a way they can't fix. Number 2, being passive-aggressive. Let's be real, we've all done it at some point. It's that classic "I'm fine" response, even though you're clearly not fine. Or when someone asks you to do something and you say, "Sure, whatever," but inside, you're silently plotting their downfall. It feels like a clever way to avoid confrontation, right? You're not outright starting a fight, but you're still getting your frustration across. The problem is, passive aggression is like trying to communicate with smoke signals in a thunderstorm. It doesn't work, and it just leaves everyone confused and frustrated. I used to think being passive-aggressive was a smart move. Like, why argue or be direct when you can just throw a little shade and make the other person feel bad without ever saying what's really bothering you? But here's the thing. No one is a mind reader. On the other hand, teaches the exact opposite. The Stoics believed that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we respond to it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the key right there. When you play the victim, you're reacting to life like you have no say in what happens next. But the truth is, you have more control than you think. Life will always throw curveballs. That's inevitable. What matters is how you choose to handle them. Are you going to sit back and say, "This is just my bad luck"? Or are you going to ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" Playing the victim often comes from a place of fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of owning up to your mistakes. Number 2, being passive-aggressive. Let's be real, we've all done it at some point. It's that classic "I'm fine" response, even though you're clearly not fine. Or when someone asks you to do something and you say, "Sure, whatever," but inside, you're silently plotting their downfall. It feels like a clever way to avoid confrontation, right? You're not outright starting a fight, but you're still getting your frustration across. The problem is, passive aggression is like trying to communicate with smoke signals in a thunderstorm. It doesn't work, and it just leaves everyone confused and frustrated. I used to think being passive-aggressive was a smart move. Like, why argue or be direct when you can just throw a little shade and make the other person feel bad without ever saying what's really bothering you? But here's the thing. No one is a mind reader. I took ownership of my role in situations, both the good and the bad. I realized I had the power to change my life. Here's the kicker. Playing the victim doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the people around you too. It's draining. No one wants to be around someone who's constantly in a state of "poor me." It's like a dark cloud that follows you everywhere, and after a while people start avoiding it. They might feel sympathy for you at first, but over time, that turns into frustration. Why? Because deep down, people know that you have the ability to take control, and watching you not do it is frustrating. They see the potential in you that you're not tapping into. And here's something the Stoics would say. When you play the victim, you're missing out on an incredible opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that life's challenges were actually chances to practice virtue. Teaches us that caring for ourselves, both mentally and physically, is a duty. It's not just about looking good for others, it's about feeling good in your own skin. When you let go of basic hygiene, it's almost like you're telling yourself, "I'm not worth the effort." And that mentality can spiral into deeper issues. On the flip side, something as simple as a shower or clean clothes can shift your entire mindset. It's strange, but true. When you take care of the small things, it gives you the momentum to tackle the bigger things. Hygiene is like the foundation of self-care. If that's shaky, Everything else is harder. And here's the practical side. Good hygiene is a form of self-respect that earns respect from others. People will notice if you take care of yourself, even if they don't say anything. It's one less barrier to connecting with others.